Hey guys, it's Busy Sims, and we are back with more Virche Evermore. We just chased down Boreo. I'm gonna use fake air quotes around that because I don't think it's the real one. Because I don't think he would have gotten hit by a car, and the way he was fighting, everybody seemed to think that was sus. All right, well, not Lucas. God, I keep fucking poor Adolphe keeps getting messed up in my head. Bird, there's nothing up there. You're fine. But like, even Adolphe and Eve like looking at each other like, huh, something's weird about this. So, Anyway, so now he's knocked out, or well, Cyan just stomped his head. So, yikes! I doubt he'll die from that, but he could still get a concussion. You savage! The soles of your shoes are iron plated, aren't they?
It's for defense. I rarely use it against others, so don't worry. And now then, I believe this is the first time I've met the troublemaker known as Boreo. Let's quickly figure out who he is and have him confess where he took the bodies.
Cyan's fingers reached down to remove the hood covering Boreo's face. Suddenly, dripping could be heard from an alley. What's that? Maybe some passing rain? The dripping slowly increased in frequency, and it was a muddled mixture of varying tempos. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. Sorry. I know, buddy. I'm just trying to adjust, and I, itched myself. Oh. Lucas's face suddenly went pale. Everyone, move away, now! The three surrounding Boreo instinctively jumped back even before his warning. Suddenly, a few centimeters before Cyan could touch the hood, from right above Boreo, death mercilessly rained down. No! I could smell and taste the pungent odor of the liquid of flesh burning. In seconds, Boreo's skin changed color into a pale ashen color. How could you tell he was wearing a hood and everything? Soon enough, his face and body melted into an indistinguishable form. Right there! Right fucking there. We were gonna what did I say? Okay, so last time I was like, I'm curious. I know it's not gonna be, I know Lucas is the real, I'm still 95% on Lucas's Boreo, okay? Everything about this seemed a little off, but fine, whatever. They want you to be like, oh, well, I mean, he got hit by a car, so of course he's off, and then he's cornered, so yeah, that's why he's fighting weird. But I don't believe that. And it was well, when they unmask him, if they give him a sprite, okay, I'm still gonna believe he's fake. But if they don't give him a sprite, absolutely fake. But they didn't even go that far. They're like, nope, now look, acid rained down on him, and doesn't that look like the real Boreo is trying to cover up the fake that he sent in his place because he knew the whole plan? Because Lucas is with us? Genius. Oh, anyway. Stop, Eve. It's no use. But don't just stand there. Move back now. It must be some kind of powerful acid. It could burn your skin on contact. But where did all that come from? I looked up. Above Boreo was a shadow looking down at us from atop the roof of a building. But the moonlight wasn't bright enough to reveal who it was up there. The shadow moved away as the rain ceased. So that... Okay, so Lucas had... Listen. Okay, Boreo, I'm going to put quotes around this, could be multiple people. But I don't think so. Because it could be the, group of exorcists, whatever. Alright, because they're, crazy, so, okay. But, so there could be multiple Boreos, and there's always someone watching, and if a Boreo ever gets caught, they do this to prevent anyone from identifying them, linking them to the group of exorcist people or whatever. and, making that connection and bringing them all down, right? Okay. Could be like a group conspiracy thing. I still think Lucas is Boreo. I think then you've obviously got people who know your identity, or even if they don't know, they're like, Boreo is our master and we don't know who he is, but we still blindly follow him. We've seen that in other games before, so okay. Where somebody ran out pretending to be Boreo. Okay, so we have fake Boreo doing this, and then there was somebody else like, if fake Boreo gets caught, you pour acid on him. Okay? To keep that person, you know what I mean? And they signed up like, it's okay, I'll die for Boreo because, cult leader or some shit, so. Alright. Anyway, the shadow moved away as the rain ceased. In place of the rain, a large container that probably held the acid fell to the ground. He looked on at what was once his brother's killer, slowly turning into a scalded mass. Mathis wasn't looking on with joy or hatred. If anything, his eyes were filled with fear and despair. Now somebody mysterious is saying, you really need to be careful. Ooh, who said that? All that was left was a burned, mutilated body. Hugo and the Corps arrived on the scene shortly after the horror we witnessed. They placed a tarp over the body so that no one could see the hideous result.
His face is burned beyond recognition, and there's no way to determine who he is now.
Yeah. And then Boreo's going to come back. Boreo, who terrorized Cheetahs and threatened the peace of Canan, met a tragic and gruesome end. Yeah, did he though? The result left a bitter taste in the mouths of everyone who was involved. A week later...
Beezy.
Sorry.
You heard that some guy called Boreo was the one who killed all those people back then. They accused you, and I believe what the newspaper said, and I'm sorry.
Good for you, kid.
I heard you went after him with a dolphin, too. That's really cool.
Well,
to be honest, you still freak me out, but I think I can try and change how I see you now. So, I'm gonna go out and play with everyone. See ya!
Yeah, see you later. Milo ran out happily after saying what was on his mind, but I wasn't able to tell him everything. Mother, is this really all right? I faced Mother with a shaking voice.
It is what the country has decided. The royal family made the decision so that the people wouldn't have to worry any longer.
But we hadn't discovered the truth yet. We couldn't do autopsies on the bodies, nor could we figure out who exactly Boreo was, still is. With no proof, the incident was announced to be the doing of Boreo, who distributed illegal drugs across districts. An announcement did remove any suspicion that was on me, but even now, I couldn't forget the sight or odor of the man who died without a single word. Not only that, that shadow that was on the roof. It's as if they were trying to hide something. Yeah, who Boreo really is. There are now more questions than answers, yet we're just going to end it like this? After telling everyone about the shadow I saw, the others quickly gave chase, but in the end they couldn't find the shadowy figure anywhere. With the appearance of someone else who might be involved, I could only feel that something bad was still to come. Boreo ain't dead, motherfuckers. What if Boreo had nothing to do with those who died from suicide? Regardless, it isn't something that happened because of you. If you're feeling guilty over something you didn't even cause, you can stop right now. You were clean from the beginning, innocent. If you still think it's your fault, you are being arrogant to those who died. The fact that Boreo has been killing people for years and tried to kill Adolphe and the others hasn't changed. The result may have been horrific, but he paid for his sins with his own death. And just assume that's so. We don't know who it was, so simply let it go and be happy you're no longer a suspect. If you try to dig any deeper, You may return to being seen with fear and hatred again. Understood. Now we're other again. Did we go back to being us? I think we did, obviously, for that scene, but... Hey, did you hear? Even the others actually put down that guy who caused the deaths. Man, they really are something. They're more reliable than the damn royal family. You have to admit, there are heroes now. I came to see Eve. How's his shoulder doing? He's fine. I'm not sure he was even hurt. I can't believe he was actually able to pull off his secret move. If he got hit in the wrong place, who knows what would have happened. I agree, but... Ugh. He sure doesn't look happy. Yeah, it seems like he's still feeling down for letting Boreo die. After all these years of knowing him, I still don't understand what goes on in that head of his. He's actually feeling sorry for a murderer who killed plenty of innocent people. He's not feeling sorry. It might have been one-sided, but he did make a promise. Don't worry. I won't outright condemn you for what you've done, no matter the reason. I'll take my time and hear you out for as long as it takes. In turn, afterward, please apologize to those you've killed, as well as to that young man. He only regrets what happened because he couldn't fulfill his promise. Ugh. My partner's insane sense of responsibility really is a pain. All I said was my responsibility. It's meaningless if I don't follow it through to the end. Just let it go already. Good guys like you only end with a short end of the stick in a place like this. What a waste of time. Considering how surprisingly proactive you were, it really must be disappointing, Cyan. So you couldn't find the whereabouts of the bodies Boreo took? Yeah, I couldn't find any data matching the genes I extracted from his body either. His hair, face, and body were so badly burned, I couldn't confirm who he was. Which means that this person won't be a reliver. If I was going to waste this much time, I would have stuck with unearthing the bodies from the graves. Hey now, stop that. You promised Eve you wouldn't do that. And even if you did try to dig up the bodies, they're probably so decomposed you couldn't autopsy them anyway. You don't have to tell me that. Damn it. And the only thing that resulted are the loads of paperwork I need to take care of. Huh? You've actually got more than that. Heh, it's called being friends, you know? I hope you finally stop shutting yourself away and enjoy life outside with the others. Mind your own business. I have no intention of mingling with them. Meanwhile, Cyan misses us. I love it. Master. Perhaps you should shake off what happened already. You may not have been able to fulfill your desire of revenge by your own hands, but justice has been served to the one who killed your brother. Yeah. But after all that effort of going after Boreo, my brother's killer, I still can't come to terms with reality that he died so easily. Sorry, Jean. I just need more time to myself. Master... I love how the man, like, Boreo's gone and everyone's just depressed about it. I mean, to be fair, we didn't get any answers, and, like, the way it happened was so weird, and it's so anticlimactic. You know, you can't help be like, oh, well, we chased him down, and yeah, he's dead, but we're missing all these answers and all this stuff, and everybody's whole purpose for this is, like, just got erased. And you're like, oh. No matter the tragedy that occurred in our daily lives, the licorice flowers of misfortune always bloomed in a vivid black color. This looks pretty when we're not... I mean, it was pretty at night, but it's pretty during the day, too. The flowers I was accustomed to seeing reminded me of Boreo's burnt skin, sending fear and disgust through my body. I came here hoping I'd feel better, but it made things worse. The more I looked at the black flowers, the more clearly my mind recalled that scene. I felt a chill from the ghostly being behind me.
I came to see you, assuming things had finally settled, but I see you don't look well despite our wonderful reunion, dear princess.
Anko, it wasn't a ghost, but the Watchman of Death. From the sound of things, it seemed he knew what happened in the end. Or perhaps, maybe he's been looking on the whole time. Suddenly, a certain thought came to mind. Excuse me, Anko? That night, I saw a shadow kill Boreo. Was that? I was about to ask if he was that shadow. No. He responded before I could finish.
Do you recall what I said when we first met? My objective is to reduce these deaths. It does not matter if those who die are sinners or not. It simply adds to the wandering souls in my charge. Assuming I did kill that one, do you think I would resort to such means?
You're right. Couldn't imagine the Watchman of Death actually employing acid as a way of killing someone. I'm sorry for doubting you. I love when he stands like this. I don't know what it is. It's pretty. Again, I don't know. I like Anko a lot. He seems fun. He's pretty. I like too when his hair twisting through his hands.
Ah, I don't mind. And now then, the sinner's death has led to protecting your name and honor, if only for the time being. Still, why do you look so dissatisfied? Why is your heart so clouded?
It's because I still hate myself. In the end, nothing about me has changed. I discovered the happiness of not being shunned or looked down upon. So now I'm afraid of returning to my secluded life where I cowered from everyone's gossip. Trying to forget that shadow and defy the truth by pinning my own sins on Boreo. I'm looking away from reality so that I can protect myself. What if the reality was that I actually caused misfortune with my powers as death? I didn't have the courage to raise my voice. The least I could do now was, Anko, thank you very much for stopping me from committing suicide back then. That said, I'm sorry, but I'll have to refuse your offer. Someone as filthy as I am has no right to live as a normal person.
If so, you should uncover the truth yourself.
Huh? I raised my head at his irritated voice.
I can't go into detail, but there's still a seed of budding flower that will bring more death to this land. The little you experienced thus far is merely the prologue. The mysterious deaths by suicide, the ruthless murders by force, the slow encroaching death by this land's curse, and other deaths that have yet to be discovered. Not one of them has been resolved.
I held my breath as the Watchman of Death spoke in a calm voice. Wait. I knew something bad was about to happen. Please wait! At the very least, the death caused by Boreo have ended.
No, this is merely the beginning.
It can't be! The killer's already dead!
I cannot say much more. As I've said, you'll need to uncover the truth yourself.
He silently walked toward me. His cold palm cradled my cheek. My consciousness felt like it was slipping at the cold, lifeless touch of his hand. Anko was preventing me from running away.
Death will one day reap the souls of your loved ones. You would not want me to take their souls to Hades, would you?
His words brought an image to mind. Family and friends I had acquired in this short, happy time. Seeing me shiver with fear, the watchman gave a chuckle, and with a low voice spoke to this foolish death.
Struggle with all your might against the mud and filth. The licorice flowers of misfortune and I will always be watching beside you.
His cursed words prevented my escape. His voice is a little... Oh! Oh! Right, Eve you can't do yet, but like, woo! Now we get the route selection. We're obviously... Okay, so yeah, because I had scrolled up and it said character select Mathis, so... That's what we're doing first, because that's the recommended, so we're going to choose... Woo! Yes!
Spurning his fate to forgive.
All right, we full on in Mathis route now, bitches. So apparently these only have a couple of chapters. Oh, and I forgot. I forgot in the last part because like whatever, but I noticed I did poke around in the flowchart because I kind of wanted to see something. And every little scene, like there's like little, it's not like the full chapter or anything like that, whatever. But I was like, wait, why does this show Anko? We haven't seen him in a while. It was obviously, I noticed that between, not last part, but the one before that. We hadn't seen Anko in a while, right? Until the last part. Well, it was one of these little scenes where we had a little intro and I just read it normal. It's Anko that's narrating it. So I'm assuming he's narrating these as well. So I'm just going to go with that. But I just found that interesting. I was like, wait, why is he in the scene? So I opened the scene and it was this, like a part like this. And I was like, oh, he was narrating for us. So I don't know if he's narrating this, but I'm going to read it like that just because, now I've seen that and I'm like, interesting.
Why, hello there, fair lady. Are you perhaps looking for a boat with which to cross the ocean? By all means, leave it to me. Of course, I do require an equivalent exchange in order to fulfill your wish. Should you do that, I will do everything in my power to release you from this cursed land.
It sounds like something Anko would say. Oh, young Mathis. Oh my god.
I bruised my knees as they met the same cold floor I'd landed on countless times before.
It's young Mathis, so I'm making him younger.
What felt truly cold wasn't my hands, and what truly hurt wasn't my knees. Mother, I'll be a good boy. Please, let me out.
I can't believe we're starting his route in this much trauma already.
Something cold and painful lay deep inside my chest in the darkness, and
he's like caged in the dungeons. I know he said his parents hated him, but like, Jesus.
The light that hit it was always the same. It was a small light from a kind soul.
Who's Camille? Mathis? Mathis? Oh, Camille's his brother? Okay. I saw Camille. I thought it was a girl, but then we have Eve over here, but whatever.
Brother? Gave me a bright and gentle smile, and no different from usual.
His warmth was my one and only light. I wonder if he gets a Sprite.
Hey, Mathis, getting another good cry in today. What are you doing here? If father finds out, he's going to... What, hit me? If it ends up tiring him out before he gets to you, all the better. Geez, I wonder when Mom and Dad are going to realize that obedience by force doesn't mean anything. Father hits me because I'm not a good boy. Which is why Mother and Father aren't wrong. I'm the one who made them mad.
Oh my god! You are not at fault because your parents are abusive fucks. Stop it. Oh.
Really, you...
All right, you two. Please save the conversation for later. There's something more important to attend to.
Oh yeah, almost forgot. Hey Mathis, you're hungry, right? Our crafty butler swiped some precious food from the kitchen, so eat up before they find out.
Poor Jean's like, I hate that this child is trapped in a dungeon, but I can't do anything about it. Please don't exaggerate the situation. All I did was carry a piece of bread from the kitchen. I'm sure your appetite far exceeds this portion. I am sorry I could not be of much help, my young master.
Don't worry. I'm just happy you came.
I'm glad to hear it. Another thing, we brought you something else. A lamp and this.
Huh? Is this what I think it is?
Yep, my latest novel.
I thought so. Can I read it?
Why'd you think I brought it? Of course you can. Is Camille, like, older? I'm thinking he's, like, not too much older, but maybe he's older. Even I've not yet had the pleasure.
Okay, and how about we read it together? Is that okay, brother?
Of course, but since we've only got the one, we'll have to huddle close. Come over here, Mathis. This place won't be so cold with the three of us crammed together. I'm wondering if he was, like, much older. You know what I mean? Like, young Mathis could be, like, 14 or something. And then, like, Camille. I'm assuming he's not Camille, but, like, maybe Camille, like, a little accent in it. But anyway, I'm assuming maybe he's not. I was thinking he was also a kid, but he could be older. So whatever, I'm still going to read him in this voice that kind of sounds like a kid, but okay. He doesn't get a Sprite because he's dead, so. A gentle light shining in a dark room. Oh, should have been reading that as Mathis, sorry. The light slowly melted my freezing chest with each passing second, and the light in the darkness was orange? Bright as the sun? No, golden. His golden wavy hair. Brilliant. His brilliance captivated my sight. Scratchy, rewindy sounds. They were very faint. I can't believe we had to start Mathis's route with that trauma. Like, Jesus Christ. See what I tell you? We were having a great old time last time. Like, oh my god, our boys are so great, and then we start with this shit. As night fell over the district, it took on a new energy different from daytime. People at the bar were enjoying the end of a long day, exchanging laughter over swigs of their drinks. Some laughed heartily, while others drowned themselves into a drunken stupor. But some of the women there spoke charming words in a hollow voice. Oh my, I haven't seen you around lately. I could say the same to you. What are you doing sneaking around the place like it's your first time here? Aren't you worried too? Recently there have been even more troublemakers around than before. Of course I'm worried. I guess we're thinking the same thing. And then again, it's not surprising since the mood around town's been brought down. Do you mean the recent murders? Well, let me remind you that this country wasn't some paradise before. Still, this place is much worse than before. That royal guard in particular. They keep pestering us just so they can salvage their egos after failing to capture that killer. You know, I'm thinking about quitting. How's that supposed to help? I mean, aren't you doing this so you can become a reliver too? Even if I do become a reliver, it just means that everyone will look down on me forever. Well, I know what you're trying to say, but isn't quitting too drastic? Oh, that's right. Why don't you try this before making your decision? See, I heard a certain rumor. Supposedly, there's a person out there who can take you out of this country with the right amount of money. They're known as the Deliverer. I don't know. They sound like they're delivering you to your death. You know? This place is as big as I remember it. I was at the Claude family home, which I hadn't been to in some time. I looked up so high that it sort of hurt my neck. I looked to the left, then to the right, and let out a sigh as the majestically large mansion. I never expected to return here for this reason. Some time had passed since the tragedy. Upon first glance, it seemed like peace had been restored to my daily life, but... Mother, where should we start? Let's see. I believe we'll need help even getting started. Took a long break at our store. Took a long look at our storage shed. No, to be precise, we were looking at the wreckage of what was once a storage shed. Last night, a storm struck and caused damage to the orphanage, especially the storage. I suppose we were lucky that only the main building's windows were broken. I suppose. In any case, the storage space was rather old, so I was planning on rebuilding it. But wasn't the firewood we chopped a few days ago inside here, too? Yes, and it's thoroughly soaked. And not to mention the extra food we didn't have room for inside the kitchen. Huh? Does that mean we don't have anything to eat? I turned around to see the children gathering behind Mother's back, staring at the pile of rubble with curious eyes. That was surprising. I'd gotten somewhat closer to Milo since the incident, but I never expected the other children to approach me this closely. I did my best to hide my surprise and try to stay calm. We have food to eat, but we may have to ration for the time being. Aww. Enjoying a meal was one of the most enjoyable times for the children. They were still growing, so I wasn't surprised that they were dissatisfied by the news. Everyone began to speak to them calmly to help them process the situation when... Is that a car coming? A familiar electric car stopped in front of the orphanage. Door opened and out came... my beautiful butler bastard boyfriend. God, I love him. Good morning, Spacey. Or rather, Should I say that it's been a while since we last met? Sean! I was surprised by the unexpected visitor. After telling Mother, who arrived, I quickly headed out to greet him. It really has been a while. I believe the last time was when we all stayed over. So what brings you to Coen today? Well, I came to see you. Oh, really? Yes, I'll absolutely marry you. Oh, wait. Never mind. That's not. We don't get to marry you. Listen. Why do games have to have hot side characters? First of all, you can't put a butler in without me, like... Okay, don't put a character in glasses, because, hi, that's probably going to be my favorite. It's going to be really hard to resist them. And then you can't put a butler in either. Oh, definitely don't put a butler in glasses. Fuck, I'd be lost. Well, I tilted my head. Jean gave a graceful bow. Allow me to express my gratitude. Thank you very much for taking care of the master before. He was able to return to me safely because of your efforts, as well as the others. On behalf of the master, I wish to give you my heartfelt thanks. I feel like his voice is all over the place right now, but then again, my voice is all over the place right now, so. My memory of it suddenly returned. That day, when we drove after Boreo through Coen, first thing that came to mind was Boreo's horrifying death. Um, a, a familiar electric car pulled up, but didn't we crash that motherfucker into a person? Man, they make cars in this fantasy world, like, pretty fucking sturdy that they've smashed into a person and didn't crumple like a piece of cardboard. But please, no need to bow. I haven't done anything worth thanking. I'm pretty sure if I fucking bumped into a bunny rabbit, my bumper would crumple. It's like cars are made. Well, I mean, here at this time period, even though they have cars but not other certain technology, whatever, they're probably made of metal like ye olde cars, as opposed to now where everything's plastic because technically safer for you. It sucks when you hit something and your car crumples and falls apart, but before when it was metal, you'd get the steering column jammed into your fucking face through your chest and shit, so. A car crumpling, it takes more of the impact than it puts on you, so. You know. But, so maybe the car was metal back in. I mean, it did look like a 1940s Ford over there. You're like, that's the first car that ever rolled off the line. All right, so, you know. All right. You're not thinking of a little electric car now where they literally look like a roller skate, and you're like, a strong wind would make that thing explode. Anyway, come now. It was your presence of mind and body that kept the master from throwing away his life from recklessness. If that's the case, then even the others are more deserving of your thanks for protecting Mathis. So is that why you came out to Coen today? Why, yes. I went to see Lucas earlier, and after this, I'm planning on visiting Eve. Of course, I doubt I can pay a visit to Monsieur Brofis, as he lives in a rather unique location. It doesn't seem like he ever leaves the Institute, or even his room, for that matter. Oh, wait, Mathis isn't with you? I didn't see anyone else sitting in the car. Yes, it would have been proper for the master to accompany me to give his thanks directly. Speaking of which, may I ask what happened on that structure over there? Perhaps the doing of the storm yesterday? To that structure. Starry, I can't read today. Yeah, we're lucky that no one got hurt. Still, I can tell that it's a matter of concern. It seems to have been a rather large storage to keep basic necessities such as food. Oh my! I'm surprised you could tell just by looking. Jean thought for a moment as Mother walked up to me after having the children go back inside the orphanage. Ow! Fuck you, bird! Jesus, you don't bite like that. You just bit my fucking jaw for no reason, like sharp. Oh, and you are? I don't think you two have met before. I'm the orphanage's resident matron, Sister Salome. You must be the fine butler I've heard about. I'm so happy to meet you. The Claude family was a previous benefactor of ours. Jean? Is there something on my face? Where are my manners? I was just awestruck by your similarity to Spacey, despite your not being related by blood. We do have the same eye color, but like whatever. Not well. Hers look blue and mine look. Okay, you know what? All right, hold on. Nope. I'm sorry. Hold for a second, everybody. I'm gonna give the bird a break, and then I'm gonna chuck his ass downstairs. So wait for me patiently. because he's now biting and being fighty and bitchy. Before I throw him downstairs, because if he lands on anything that's not. Now go downstairs. Nope, I don't want you to go. Bye. I love you, but you're a big fat jerk. Like, if I try to chuck him downstairs and he like doesn't want to go and then he lands on something, he'll just instantly like poop on whatever the fuck he lands on, and he knows better, but he'll do it because he's been sitting with me this whole time and hasn't had a poop break, so he needed one. But it's like, okay, take a poop break, now chuck your ass downstairs because you're being a dick. Because like he's just like all of a sudden he's just biting me constantly. It's like, you know what? You're being a douchebag. I've been talking this whole time, but anyway, sorry. Just as I was about to ask about it. Yeah. Someone broke something. What remained of the storage shed collapsed. Perfect timing. Oh my, goodness me. It was already in bad condition, but now there wasn't much left of it. It seems too dangerous to venture in, so maybe we should give up on gathering what was inside. From the looks of it, I believe it may be cheaper to simply build another shed from ground up instead of repairing this one. And that makes sense, but we don't have enough funds for either option anytime soon. I see. If that's the case, we will give the facility another storage unit. Huh? They must have looked very similar in that moment with the same surprised expressions. Jean held up a finger as if it was nothing. Oh, so you weren't kidding. The Claude family's going to fund the removal and construction of a new storage unit? We'd invited Jean into the orphanage so as to not linger out in front. While serving him tea, we inquired about what he meant by his generous offer and found that it was just as he had said. Yes, but I do need to obtain approval from the master later. Knowing the master's way with money, I believe he'll give his approval quite easily. That sounds like something to worry about. Yes, we are grateful for your concern, but though the Claude family is known to be wealthy, there's no way we can accept such an offer unconditionally. We will pay for the repairs and... no. There should certainly be terms. What did you have in mind? Something simple. Jean enjoyed the aroma of the tea, then set it down on the table with a refined smile on his face. Spacey, would you be interested in working as a maid at the Claude mansion? A maid? You mean me? But I thought you handled everything for the Claude family. It's like, have you seen the size of that motherfucking house? So why would he want to hire a maid now? Well, this is quite embarrassing, but I call myself a butler, but I'm not very skilled in the art of cooking. Huh? Well, that's surprising. I always saw you as someone who could do anything, Jean. If only I possessed such power. He went on to explain that he knew how to cook, but the results were neither good nor bad, just simply bland. That said, there are many prepared dishes sold at the Marsh and Cheetahs, which is why my deficiencies in cooking did not interfere with the master's enjoyment of nutritious meals. In that case, why do you wish to hire her as a maid? Well, it is because her cooking brought about a definite change in the master's heart. Me? Boreo... The death of that killer did not give him the peace he had sought, but rather a new sorrow, which is why I was hoping the warmth of your cooking might allow him to heal. Jean, who was in a pleasant mood earlier, looked despondent now. He stared at the gentle movement of his tea for a moment before continuing in earnest. How sweet. He's a sweet boy. He's so gonna die, isn't he? I heard about what happened to Boreo. I also heard how he caused those unusual deaths and that peace returned to Cheetahs and Canan. But the person who murdered his brother met his demise in a surprising yet simple manner. So the master has lost his will to live. He's become a shell of a man, sitting in a daze, eating and drinking only the bare minimum. Aww. He's essentially locked himself in his room. At this rate, he may even try to commit suicide any day now. Recalled how his fearful eyes were locked onto Boreo's unexpected death. At the sight of his brother's killer's suffering, Mathis's voice was absent of any joy. Instead, gazed on as if he was gazing at despair itself. The thing is like whether I don't think it's because Boreo met this particular end. Obviously, I don't think he really did. But it's because you've been spending all this time thinking of vengeance to get back at this killer for killing your brother, whatever, and then now that it's kind of achieved, even if you didn't directly kill him, even if you did, you'd be like, now what the fuck do I have? Because this is what you've put all your time in. You can't put all your fucking eggs in one revenge basket. You got to spread them out. You know what I mean? An egg in a bunch of different revenge baskets. No, but you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a standard freaking trope in any kind of book, anime, movie, whatever, where it's like, if you're just so hell bent on revenge and that's all that consumes you, once you get it, you're empty. And you don't get the satisfaction from it that you thought you would, You see, Mathis was dedicated to finding Boreo for so long. After what happened, we dispersed so that we could avoid the crowds, so I didn't see the full extent of how shaken he was. If only I had reached out to him then. I could only regret that I didn't do so. I've been unconvincing in my attempts to cheer up the master, given that I had voiced my opposition to his plans in the first place. So I've decided to defer to the very friend who once brought out his smile with ease. So I ask you, won't you please save him? Working for the Claude family, I was surprised when he brought it up, but after hearing the details, I became more worried about Mathis and his situation. To add, death will one day reap the souls of your loved ones. You would not want me to take their souls to Hades, would you? Jean mentioning the word suicide reminded me of Anko's warning. There was no way I could leave Mathis alone, especially now that I knew about his current condition. Which was why I glanced at Mother and waited for her nod of approval. I understand. If there's any way I can help, I'd be more than happy to accept your offer. With that, I accepted Jean's request. With Mother by my side, we discussed how long I'd be employed by the Claude family and how to manage my work at the orphanage. I was doubtful that the service I provided would be enough to pay off the cost of rebuilding the storage space, but we entered into a contract that outlined my responsibilities in cooking and assisting Jean with other chores if time allowed. So it's not even like, oh, I just popped by, we're going to basically live here. I wonder if it was okay to do all that without Mathis's input. Then again, now that I was here, it was too late to think about that. Welcome again to the Claude Mansion. I very much look forward to working together. That was so not quite his voice. I don't know. That said, I am rather disappointed that you declined our offer to house you here during your employment with us. So we're not going to live in. Jean, who had been awaiting my arrival, led me into the guest room. I lowered my head apologetically at the sight of his disappointment. I'm not sure how much you know, but, well, it's best that I keep my distance for various reasons. That night, when I stopped you from committing suicide, I cast a certain spell over you. I was successful in suppressing your power as death for the time being, but my power has its limits. Once the time comes, you will return to your form as death and again bring demise to those around you. My powers were currently being suppressed by Anko's. He also mentioned that my curse would return to full strength once his spell wore off. I didn't know how long it would last, so I felt that I shouldn't spend much time with the same people for too long. All you had to do was get into a contract with him, and you kind of already did what he wanted. Stop the murders. There you go. Frankly, we fulfilled our end of the bargain. Please don't feel bad. I've heard the rumors about you, but I'm not so foolish as to be swayed by some baseless rumor. And now then, if you would please change into this. With that, Jean lifted the lid of the small wooden chest on the table beside him. Is that my uniform? Oh, goody, we get a uniform. Yes, I had it made by a nearby tailor. Please wear this while you work here at the mansion. Understood. Should I go and introduce myself to Mathis once I've changed into this? That's a good question. Let's see. It would surprise the master if he encounters you here without prior notice. Huh. You didn't tell Mathis that I'd be working here? I thought telling him would only make matters worse, considering he'd not want to appear in his current state before you. So I was thinking of bringing you on first, and then asking for his permission afterward. Are you sure? That sounds forceful. He waved his hand to say it should be okay. Jean gently pushed my back and led me to one of the rooms so I could change into my uniform. It's kind of like, well, what's he gonna do? He's not gonna fire you. Ask forgiveness, not permission. Mathis. Instead of others, now we get Mathis. I wondered how much time has passed. What was happening? What was I doing here? Why did I have this book in my hand? He said the words that used to bring me excitement, but felt nothing at all. Maybe I should just die and forget about everything. Just as I was daydreaming of that future. Faint light that shone from the window became stronger. Through the white curtains, a nostalgic golden shadow flickered. I'm assuming it was us. Like, yeah, we're opening the window and he's just like... Now we're back to us. Mathis? Oh, look, we do have a cute little maid uniform. I love it. Mathis? I quietly ascended the stairs to the attic as Jean looked on from the first floor. I saw Mathis sitting on the floor with a blank look on his face, so I crouched down in front of him. He wasn't reading the book in his hand. He was in a daze and his eyes were a lot duller than I expected. But again, this little pose, though, is so pretty. It's been a while, Mathis. He didn't respond. I knew his situation, so I continued as though he could hear what I was saying. I heard everything from Jean. You haven't been out of your room for a while, right? I know I can't force you, so maybe you can at least have a decent meal from now. I tried to raise my voice a little, but he didn't respond. I was starting to become anxious, seeing him blink so infrequently. It made me wonder whether he was even breathing properly. Trying to avoid discussing the obvious, he isn't registering much of a reaction. Then again, it probably wasn't a good idea to mention Boreo, or else things might go downhill quickly. What should I do? Confused, I decided to say his name again when... His eyelids twitched. What's up? Lie? Lee? What's he saying? I'm not sure if he's saying lie or... Huh. I could barely hear what he just said in a weak voice, but I wasn't letting the opportunity get away. He was actually looking at me now. Mathis, do you know who I am? Touched his shoulder gently and spoke his name. Huh? Spacey? Mathis, thank goodness. He finally looked me in the eye. What are you doing here? The clothes you're wearing, they're different from usual. He was still somewhat in a daze, but he was definitely not daydreaming anymore. I spoke with relief after hearing his sensible response. Explaining everything might take a while, but... We'll explain it off screen. I gave him a brief explanation that I was going to start working here while bracing for his reaction. Maid? That's not good. I mean, you have your own work to do at the orphanage. I can't have you spend your precious time on someone like me. Mathis spoke meekly as he looked away from me. It was a bit sad to see him acting as though we'd only just met. So, I know you came all the way here, but I'm sorry, Spacey. I can't bother you any more than this, so I'll have to ask that you... But wait a moment, Mathis! I'm not at all bothered in the slightest, so... Before I could finish my sentence, I heard a strange growl. Huh? The adorable sound was coming from Mathis's stomach. I was like a growl, and at first I was like, is he growling at me? And then when he was like, I was like, oh my god, it's his stomach. Are you...
Uh, well,
His abject expression was only slowly tinted in red.
I'm sorry. I couldn't control it.
He must have been really embarrassed as he quickly raised the book he had opened earlier up to his face to hide himself. Basically how we've seen Mathis. Are we going to get that CG again? Him hiding himself? Yeah, we're bringing it back to that first time we saw him. His actions reminded me of when we first met. That's exactly what I was thinking. I like that the little, on the corner of the book, the little, like, design on the each corner looks like an owl if you look at it. Like, it's, I know it's not supposed to be, but it looks like an owl. It wasn't that long ago, but it already felt like it was something from the distant past. You're hungry, aren't you?
I
Guess so. Knowing that trying to stay silent wouldn't help, Mathis finally confessed his hunger. I heard you haven't had an appetite for a while now. Something change?
isn't it obvious?
Huh?
It's because I saw you. Reminded me of the tasty meals you cooked for us back then.
He then began to pout as if it was unfair of me to do so. I'm actually happy to know that you liked my cooking. Well then, how about I get some breakfast ready? We can talk later once you've had something to eat.
I don't.
You're going to say you don't want it? It's one thing to have no appetite, but refusing a good meal when you're hungry is different.
Fine.
And secretly he's giggling like, yay! I quickly prepared a simple breakfast, then headed back to his room. And he's back to staring. Mathis was staring at a knife in his hand as I entered the room. That's what he used against Boreo. A weapon he held close to him for the purpose of revenge. Mathis wasn't showing any signs of using it. He only stared at it blankly. Seeing his face devoid of any expression was terribly painful to watch. Mathis. Hearing me call his name, Mathis quickly looked up.
I'm sorry. Let me put this away first.
No. If you want, you can keep the knife next to you while you eat.
Huh? But
it feels strange to not have it with you, right? Of course, it's a different story if you're planning on cutting me with it. If I could read, that would have come out better.
Huh? Of course not. I would never do such a thing.
Then there's no reason for you to put it away, right? I don't care what's around us as long as you eat your meal properly, Mathis.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. With the serving tray in hand, I sat next to Mathis.
You're gonna dirty your clothes.
Jean said it won't be a problem because I'm going to be working in these clothes. I then set the tray down in front of him. I heard you weren't eating much, so I decided to make a light soup that'd be gentle on your stomach. It'd be better if I could replicate Eve's dish, but his cooking is, well, a bit too difficult for a novice like me. Warm white steam rose from the bowl on the tray. Mathis looked at the soup and hesitated for a moment.
Don't mind, then.
Dipped the soup spoon into the clear broth and had a tiny sip. Suddenly, Mathis's eyes visibly shook. He took another spoonful. Seeming to have regained his appetite, he drank more and more of the soup until...
Tastes good.
Single drop. A teardrop. His tear rolled down his cheek into the soup.
It's good. It's very good.
Like before. No. And better. Gentle and heartwarming. More tears began to flow. Mathis didn't stop to dry his eyes as he continued drinking the soup. Oh, his little sprite was crying, too.
Sorry to cry so suddenly. It's strange, but drinking your soup made me realize that this must be the symbol of a peaceful life. I'm surprised how hard it hit me.
See, Mathis roughly dried the tears from his face with his sleeve.
I know that my brother's killer died surprisingly easily, but I guess I still can't believe what I saw back then.
Mathis chuckled with self-scorn. I responded, there's nothing strange about what you said. I mean, your brother was someone very important to you, right?
Yes, Neil was a wonderful brother. He was too good for me.
Camille Claude, Mathis' late older brother, who was killed by Boreo. It's the very reason I was alive. I'm the only one in my family who truly loved me. A blinding light. That ray of hope. Was extinguished by violence. Brother was killed with his face sliced so badly that he was unrecognizable. I vowed that I'd make his killer pay by having him feel the same pain 1,000-fold, but everything ended. And the end came at the hands of a complete stranger. It's unbearably frustrating. I've even found myself hoping that Boreo was still alive and murdering people. I think he is still alive. He's just not murdering people yet. We'll get to it. That way I could have a legitimate excuse to renew my motivation for vengeance. His expression warped. I could tell what he was going to say next. That was what through my mind until now. But if that did come true, you made this warm and gentle soup, me and the person who taught you how to cook might be killed along with the rest. I didn't even notice that I was actually hoping for someone to die so I could still have my revenge. I'm really foolish and selfish, aren't I? I don't think you're selfish. Don't look down on yourself. They're both kind of, you're not selfish. Don't look down on yourself. I don't know. They're both decent. Like, I'm selfish, aren't I? You're not selfish. I mean, no, well, I think they're both good. Like, I don't think you're selfish for wanting to get rid of your brother's killer. Like, yeah, wanting someone else to die so you could get your vengeance is like, oh, well, that's just not thinking of the big picture. You know what I mean? I guess it's a little selfish technically, but like, don't look down on yourself is like more like, I like don't look down on yourself because maybe it is a little selfish, but sometimes it's okay to be selfish. So you shouldn't look down on yourself for being selfish. And like, there's so much like everything everywhere is so much, oh, selfish is awful. Not always. You have to be selfish sometimes. Like, that's how you put yourself first. That's how you do self-care. There's a line where you're like, well, now you're just an asshole about it, but I don't think him being selfish in this situation is a bad thing. So I kind of feel like, don't look down on yourself. Like, it's okay to, like, want vengeance for your brother and then, you know, maybe have wished for something and realized it was a bad thing to wish for. Like, it's okay. People make mistakes. It's okay to, like, you figure that out and you're like, oh, that might have been a little wrong. You know, you worked past it. It's okay. No, I don't think you're selfish. Well, whatever. Ooh! I guess that shows that was the right answer. The little flash in the flower or whatever. Is that going to be like one of those little, it's going to get bigger and bigger as it goes? I don't know. I think what you just said is dangerous. But I don't think you're foolish or selfish, Mathis. Someone truly selfish doesn't think about how they might affect others. Okay. I like how she turned that around. Just being nice. But I think I'm telling the truth. To add, if anything, I'm the one who's selfish here. Huh? As death, I've brought a lot of misfortune to others, and each time something happened, I'd think, wish it was someone else's doing. I wish it happened far away so I could prove I wasn't at fault. My own wishes were selfish, trying to excuse myself from events that happened because of me. Mathis stopped criticizing himself the moment he heard my response. But we're completely different because I've killed people while you haven't. Furthermore, a person can't be selfish if they could actually feel for others based on imagination alone. You still regret what happened. Why don't you wish for something else now, so your earlier wish doesn't come true? For example, you could wish that Boreo won't return, and that those you care about can live their lives in peace. Mathis froze for a moment at my suggestion. And that's easier said than done. There were no tears in his eyes as he smiled. But I suppose you're right. I'll wish for something more constructive instead of forcing myself to see things differently. With that, Mathis held the spoon in his hand and brought more soup to his mouth. Yep, it's good even when it's getting cold. I really am a fool. If Boreo were still alive, I might not have had the chance to enjoy such good soup. If I didn't realize something as simple as that. He then asked for a second helping of the healing food that had been available to him all along. It was there all along. And we have perfectly had time, so I'm going to stop. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.